Hey there everyone, happy Thursday. I'm King 5 Meteorologist Adam Claibon. Well, here it comes, the rain, it is on the way. And are you going to the Seahawks game tomorrow night? Because it's going to feel like football weather for sure, as we have an autumn-like system that's going to be heading in during the month of August. Could supply us with the typical month's worth of rain that we typically see here in the month of August, all in just a day or two. So it's going to be a pretty wet system, and will be some breezy winds to go along with that. We're going to talk about that coming up. But yeah, the Seahawks game, if you are heading out to that game tomorrow evening against the Chiefs, well, we are expecting to have the rain around. Make sure to have the rain gear with you. Temperatures will go from more of those mid to upper 60s down to maybe more the mid 60s. This is an atmospheric river per se, so we are going to keep some milder and more damp and humid air within some of this. So you can see it, the moisture is just plumbing right our way. It's heading right towards us here across the Pacific Northwest. Pretty decent amount of it too. You can see that thick layer of white smoke that's popping up, or sorry, thick layer of clouds that is popping up right towards us. There's some smoke in there too, which we're going to talk about in a second, but all that heading right towards us here across western Washington. And this is going to be very beneficial, especially for some of our drought conditions that we have out there. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and talk about that really quickly before we get into the 7-day forecast, because our drought conditions right now are pretty much the same as what they were back on last week. We have areas of moderate drought, more areas of severe drought out there, as well as areas of extreme drought that have popped up across more of the central and north Cascades, and that's indicated by some of the red that you see on the map right there for you. All right, let's get into the forecast, because it is going to be a pretty active few days for us. Tonight, we are already beginning to see some of that rain moving on in, and we'll continue to have that with us as we head on into the day on Friday, and also heading into Saturday. We're also going to call for Friday to be a first alert day because of some of the heavier rain that we're going to have moving on through. More on that here in a second, but wanted to go out towards the south coast, where Westport, we're dealing with the rain as we speak right now, as of about 7 to 8 o'clock here into your Thursday evening. Also out here towards the north coast as well, rain has been falling pretty steadily, I would say, here for the past few hours. Should pick up in intensity as we go late into the night. Still going to take a while before it reaches us here in Paulsville. A lot of clouds, maybe a sprinkle or two out here during the first part of the night though, but definitely picking up after midnight, and then starting to see some shower activity coming down here in Port Angeles. Bellingham, cloudy, sprinkle or two, not much of the rain there yet. Granite Falls, we're still kind of waiting on that to start to find its way in here, while areas here farther south around Tacoma, quiet, even fairly clear. We've seen a lot of sunshine here throughout the day, and as you go farther north, the more clouds you did run into, like here around Everett, and then around here in Seattle, where you can see some of that thick cloud coverage beginning to move on in, and where maybe some of you even smelled a little bit of a whiff of smoke up into the air. 73 degrees with a southwest wind coming in at 8 miles per hour. Now our temperatures will continue to drop here as we head into the night. Low to mid 60s, more 50s on the way for early tomorrow morning, but we continue the cooling trend we've been seeing here for the past few days. So only down a few more degrees in a lot of locations. Friday Harbor is the big cool down, where you can see numbers are down by about 12 degrees in comparison to 12 or 24 hours ago. And your temperatures right now in the lower to mid 70s around Puget Sound and the Kitsap Peninsula, while outside of there you can see 60s and even 50s out towards the immediate coastline, where we have that rain that is in place. Okay, here's radar, and you can see that where it is featuring some showers and where we are currently dry. Closer to the I-5 corridor, we're currently dry. As you get closer to the coast, this is where you have some of that rain that is already beginning to show itself, especially more the central and the north coast, where we have some of that deeper moisture that is already in place for us. So this is just the beginning, and we continue to see a lot more that swing its way on through here as we have this moisture plume that's going to be heading right towards us here as we head on into the evening. So let's talk about that. Futurecast has us staying pretty wet, and this first wave that we're going to see through tonight and into the first part of the day for tomorrow will be a lighter wave, but still pretty steady in nature, with a lot of the shower activity, especially out towards more of the Olympic Peninsula. Now that's going to make its way on through. You'll deal with it tomorrow morning, and then by the time we get ready to head into late tomorrow morning and into the earlier part of tomorrow afternoon, this is where that deeper moisture will arrive. So this is 10 o'clock. You can still see some of that kind of broken apart farther south, south of Everett. But the farther north you are, you'll stay in the rain a bit longer. And then we'll head on into more of the afternoon hours. Some rain shadowing happening right up this way north and east of the Olympics. So that includes some of us around, it looks like just west of Port Angeles, but definitely more of Sequim, Discovery Bay, dealing with a bit more of that, maybe even Quilcene, maybe seeing a bit of that, even Paulsville too. We could be in that window where we don't see as much rain with this because of the rain shadowing, but outside of there, including where we have our fire here in Mason County, closer to Lake Cushman, some moderate to heavier rain with this second surge. A ton of it across more of the higher terrain across the Olympics and the Cascades too as we continue throughout the day, and all of that really indicated by some of the yellows and oranges that you're seeing popping up there. That hangs with us as we head on into more of your Friday evening. That's 8:30 here for tomorrow evening. We'll continue to have that steady rain move on through, but after midnight, a lot of it is out of here, and we'll keep some shower activity around for Saturday and heading into Sunday, but by that point, most of it should be off to our east, and the shower chances that we'll see will be fairly light and more off and on in nature. So just take a look at some of these totals. We're seeing anywhere between about a ½ inch to maybe up to 1.5 inches for areas in the lowlands and closer to the I-5 corridor. Central, north coast, 1, 2, maybe 3 inches of rain, if not even more. Definitely expecting to see near, if not more than that, across more of the higher terrain across the Olympics and the Cascades. So great droughts, rain beginning to move its way on in here. It's going to do wonderful for our dry conditions that we have across parts of western Washington, especially when you can see that we'll have more of that bullseye across the central and north Cascades where we have those areas under a extreme drought as of right now. Now let's talk about winds, because we are going to see those gusts begin to pick up as we head on into the day for tomorrow. So let's fast track up here to about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Some of those gusts getting closer to about 15 to 20, maybe even 25 miles per hour. But as we continue on into Friday afternoon, this is when we start to see some of those gusts picking up just a bit more. This is where you see some of those oranges beginning to pop up, closer to 30 miles per hour with some of those gusts. Seeing some of that around also heading into the evening, and you can see some of those numbers up this way around areas such as Whidbey Island, up around here through Bellingham. Could see some of those gusts upwards to 30, 35, maybe 40 miles per hour in some key spots here as we head into tomorrow evening. Should be worrying much about any sort of power outages or anything like that. Still, all in all, a relatively weak system. It's just one that's a little more out of the ordinary for this time of the year, packing a good amount of rain and also a good amount of wind to go along with that. So we'll continue on into tomorrow night and then into early Saturday, and you'll see that those winds do begin to come back down, so our gust won't be as high as that point. But you know what this does do for us? This will help to blow out a lot of this wildfire smoke. And again, with the rain coming down, we're going to help to put a lot of water down on some of those hot spots where we have the fires over Mason County, even farther north there across Vancouver Island where there's a fire there, and this helps to blow a lot of this wildfire smoke on out of here too. Not completely. We'll still deal with that as we head on into the latter part of, it looks like, the weekend, as we'll still keep that around. It's just that we'll really start to taper down or really start to limit some of the smoke that's coming off of the fire there, and then we'll see what happens once we start to dry out and head on into next work week when things do start to warm up and dry out yet again. Overall, though, the forecast heading into the weekend, we dry things out. Heading into Saturday, Sunday could feature a few showers around, but most of the rain should be done by the first few hours of daylight. Heading into Saturday, Monday, partly sunny and dry and staying relatively comfortable. All right, here's your forecast. It looks like overnight tonight, temperatures in the low 60s to upper 50s for many spots, a little cooler out towards the coast. And then highs tomorrow getting up to about 66, I would say, around Orcas Island. If you're going to be farther to the east there, areas there closer to Bellingham, Blaine, also down towards Mount Vernon, not popping up right quite yet, but you're also going to be in the 60s, it looks like, as we head on into that time for tomorrow. And we'll continue to see highs here for a lot of the area around some of those same marks. So as we head farther to the south, you'll notice that the highs for us down this way around Everett, as well as getting closer to Camano and Whidbey Island in more of the 60s. And it looks like our numbers are not popping up right there, but there we go, right there. You'll see them in the 60s. Again, for tomorrow, we're going to call for a first alert day, and this is going to be because we'll see highs a bit on the cooler side, but mainly because it's going to be very rainy and somewhat gusty for this time of the year. Not a typical system that we have here for the month of August, and maybe many of you have plans for the weekend. Maybe you've been planning all year for a wedding or something like that, and it's just something that you need to be mindful of as we get ready to head into tomorrow, that you are going to need to make different arrangements because any outdoor activities you might have will be wet. So keep that in mind and have a great time still if you're heading out to the Seahawks game, because it should be a pretty nice matchup against the Chiefs. And just make sure to pack the ponchos and any other rain gear that you might need. Okay, everyone, well, try to stay dry tomorrow, but enjoy the rain. We definitely need it. And also have a great time and a fantastic Friday tomorrow, too. We'll talk to you soon.